Scams. The internet is absolutely filled with hundreds of falsehoods, schemes, and dirty con men looking for a quick and easy way to make a quick buck. Everyone knows at least one of the many famous stories on the internet, from failed crowdfund campaigns for games that promised everything to underdeveloped, unfinished messes. If there's a will, there's a way. And for online scammers, they always find a way and they always got the will to steal money from the gullible. However, the case we will be discussing today is a much closer to home, as it concerns our own fandom, Stalker. Now, there have been scams perpetrated within the Stalker community before, but this one is still ongoing, with no signs of stopping, for now at least. The Stalker franchise is well known for its many hundreds upon hundreds of high quality mods created by very talented devs that allow fresh takes on the Stalker games with new stories, better weapons, and etc. The Stalker modding community is infinitely creative in its endeavors, but none of these mods would be possible without the hard work of hundreds of devs. But one of these devs is the focus of this video, which, unlike the many other devs in this community, he's not so innocent. The dev we're speaking about today goes by the name of Monokit, or as he's known in the eastern side of the community, Alexei Bean. Monokit has become a somewhat popular figure within the Western Stalker community. He is responsible for starting and develop several anticipated mods, especially for the Anomaly and Gamma community. These mods are Anomaly Together, Call of Pripyat Together, Shadow Chernobyl Together, and Rad Online, also known as 100 Rad's Bar. Having a Discord server with almost 14,000 members and a boosty with 750 subscribers at the time of writing. Monokit has truly carved a niche for himself within the soccer community, receiving hundreds of donations from his many, many fans. However, he is not as clean as it might seem. Monokit is infamous within the Eastern/Russian community for his many counts of scamming, lying, and other controversies. Monokit has essentially left the Eastern Russian community and now has established himself in the Western one. We have, however, compiled in this video multiple pieces of evidence gathered from ex-developers and others who have known him about his past and his theft. From refusing to pay developers for work done to stealing assets from other mods, Monokahuna has a checkered past a mile long. And I hope in this video to expose to the larger Stalker community how their money is being stolen by a serial scammer. Now, before we get into Monokit's many projects that have been stuck in a definitely not intentional development hell, I would first like to bring attention to the Stalker multiplayer community on VK, as they're the ones who have been cataloging and following Alexei Bean and his activities online. This video would not exist without their help, so we are kinda standing on the shoulders of giants here. They deserve most of the credit for exposing Monokit. Now, let's talk about Monoshark's projects. The first mod that Monokit ever worked on was a mod called Rad Online, also known as 100 Rad's Bar, although frankly I wouldn't exactly use the word work for a guy like Monokit, more like paid someone else to do it. But essentially this was a very small mod. It was sort of like this, I guess you could say, online chat room in Stalker, where essentially you could spawn into 100 Rad's Bar and just talk to people, play the guitar. It was a much smaller multiplayer project. It wasn't supposed to really be that big. But even then, even when making something so small, Monokit already starts, showing his worst impulses. Because you think, oh, surely on a mod that is so small like this, just the 100 Rad's Bar, surely this wouldn't have stolen assets. But you would be wrong. Because you see, we cannot talk about Rad Online without first talking about a different project made by a completely different person called The Forgotten Way, developed by a dev called Neon. Now, why is this mod so important? Well, you see, if you decompile using the proper tools the DB files, aka the database files of the Rad Online modification, you will find that the Rad Online modification is essentially a slightly modified version of the Forgotten Way, using code and assets from the Forgotten Way with zero permission. And this is revealed to us by the build that was released to the public by one of the ex-devs of Monokit, who basically just rebelled against his old boss and released the build onto the wild. After the build was released, a lot of people started to decompile the DB files to check them. And one of these people was Neon, the developer of The Forgotten Way. And to his surprise, he found many of his files being used in Red Online. He even supplies screenshots of this, proving Modification just straight up stole both code and assets from his mod. In the first screenshot, we see here that the player is equipped with a sunrise suit. This sunrise suit, however, is called neon underscore outfit underscore name, because obviously this was a placeholder from The Forgotten Way. It even has the neon name attached to it, which just makes this so shameless that he did this in the first place, like he really thought somebody wouldn't notice. The second screenshot provided by Neon is of an inventory of a dead blind dog. Now you might notice that this blind dog has somehow dropped the tail of a Pisil dog. Well, you see, this is a bug. And it's not just any bug, it's a bug that Neon recognizes, because this specific bug is one that shows up in The Forgotten Way. It is one of the bugs that always showed up in many versions of The Forgotten Way. So when Neon saw this, he was pretty much proof that his code had been lifted so shamelessly that even the bugs got transferred over. Some music tracks from The Forgotten Way were also stolen, as seen by this picture of the unpacked DB files, featuring two files literally called neon underscore music. But the other smoking gun in this department is this DM shared between Monotard and another user called Konstantin. Monokit tries to acquire the server info and code of The Forgotten Way from Konstantin, so that he may use it in his own projects, a clear case of attempted theft of someone else's work, which is not going to be the last time Monokit does this. This will become a trend. This is not the first time that Monopidor would activate his Romanian genes and steal other people's code. No. Sometime later, another one of Monokit's developers, a guy that goes by the name of XR Littlebatia, would also leave the project. He contacted the X-Ray multiplayer community to tell them about his experience with working on the project, and how Monokit tried to steal the source code for the popular add-on Boomsticks and Sharpsticks, and the drama between him and LV Hunter, one of the developers of Anomaly, who denied Monokit's access to Anomaly's files because of how heavily monetized this project was. This here is the first set of DMs leaked by XR Littlebatia, where him and Monokit discussed the fact that they were not allowed to use the assets from Sharpsticks and Boomsticks. And so Monokit actually comes up with a scheme to create a fake project where they basically pretend it's not them, and then see if they can get the access to the GitHub of Sharpsticks and Boomsticks by using the cover of this fake project. And then after they get the source code, they can just run off with it and use it in their project. And just like XR Littlebatia says in the messages, like extreme rat behavior of literally pretending to be someone else to get the code because they won't give you the code willingly. But just stealing code and assets isn't the only controversy that Mono Hunaberger has found himself in. No. There's actually an even bigger one. A controversy between him and one of his ex-developers called Zaur, where he straight up just didn't pay the guy. He came into the project, he worked for months, and in the end, he basically did not get paid. This is probably the big one about Monokit, about how him just not paying his developer. Now, this situation all starts with a developer named Zaur, who was actually one of the founding members of the original project, Red Online. He worked right alongside Monokit on the, I guess you could say, foundation, ground level work on that mod. So he was there from the beginning. And all of this started when he finally left the project after being done with dealing with Monokit's shit and also not getting paid. He went on to talk to the Stalker MP community, and in an article he detailed in a long post about the early history between him and Monokit, how he did not get paid for a lot of his services, about how Monokit constantly lied about how much money he had, sometimes claiming that he had a lot of money and then suddenly switching and saying, oh no, we have nothing, and everything else that happened between the two during the development of Red Online. Speaking to the Stalker MP community, Zaur had this to say. Hello dear players and regular readers, my name is Zaur. I was one of the founders and developers of the project Rad X-Ray Multiplayer, also known as Rad Online. And I want to tell you all about the situation that happened recently, how I was cheated and slandered by Alexei Bean, better known as Monokit, as well as about what was actually his idea to make money from the English-speaking audience of Rad. I think we should start from the beginning. One day, Alyosha, Alexei Bean, wrote to me with a proposal to create a project with him for the English-speaking and Chinese audiences, who he wanted to monetize. The initial goal was to connect a donation system in order to make money from an audience that didn't know anything yet. He promised to pay me for my work, and for the first time, everything went well. I worked on the engine of our project, added new features. Monokit, in turn, worked with the audience, invited new players, and in general, developed the project. In the future, the English players he invited began to donate money for development. From this money, Bin actually paid for my work 4,000 rubles. But with each passing day, the ambitions of this self-believing cheater grew. With each new job, his appetite also grew, as well as the donations from players. Soon, more developers invited by Bean appeared. Time passed, work was done, and meanwhile, players began to demand to open the project to the Russian-speaking audience, which was soon done. Bin never showed the transactions of donations, but always told me that the money flowed like a river. Of course, this river continued to flow up until I asked him to share the logs of money transfers, to which Bin immediately withdrew and said, no, there is actually no money. No one wants to donate. We have nothing. As I said earlier, Bin's idea for the project was only to extract money from players, which he actually did. Time passed and Monokit's appetite grew, and he stopped paying for my work. Not only did he stop paying for my work, but as it turns out, this scarecrow began to spread false information that I had received 20,000 rubles from him, although this is fundamentally not true. After that, he muted me from the server so that I could not write in chat, which made it look like I was unable to argue with him. No, his antics really pissed off not only me, but also other developers, such as the person making the launcher for the game, for which I believe he was also not going to pay. The launcher itself was supposed to have a store that would sell skins for players, and an ad for a game we were developing about Antarctica on the Unreal 4 engine, and a whole lot of other junk that nobody needs. All of this, absolutely all of it, whether junk or not, Bin, Monokit, was trying to monetize it. The whole project was centered on the fact that the player must donate, and the game about Antarctica in general became a local joke because everything that is possible and impossible, Bin also wanted to monetize. From the purchase of the game itself and DLC to it, all the way to the point of being able to buy anti-advertising and even in-game levels. There was no real work plan for this game either, so all the time when the development was about to be finished, we had to start everything from scratch because of Bin's requests. During the whole time of work, while he was bragging all the time about the river of donations, we, as developers, received just pennies for our work. Zaur is not the only developer to leave Monokit because of unpaid labor. Another developer called Stalker OK and XR Littlebatia both continue saying in the article that they also left because of lack of pay, showing that Monokit has done this at least 3 times to 3 different people. A real pattern of behavior. Finally, as a conclusion to this video in a more unscripted format, I just have to point out that I actually went through Monokit's Discord and his Boosty page, because in his Discord the only way to get roles is to pay a certain amount of money in his Boosty. So for example, if you want the Hunter role or the Healer role or Master role or Strelok role, you have to pay a certain amount. It's all like based on how much you give to the Boosty. I actually went and cataloged every single person of every single role, at least to the best of my ability. Now, obviously, there are some people in there that might have gotten roles for free, but I don't have that kind of information. I have to work with the information I have. And from what I have, these are the numbers. And from all these numbers that I gathered, from every single person in there, from every single role, I have kind of created a somewhat accurate number of how much money Monokit has made, and this is like how much money he has made monthly and yearly. Of course, if we consider the fact that he's getting paid this amount every single month. Again, I'm working with the info that I have. And this is the most frustrating part about this entire project is that Monokit is getting paid a fuck ton of money. Like he's making bank off of this, especially if you, of course, remember the fact that he's from Russia, which means that he's getting paid in dollars. When this shit transfers to rubles, which is a meme of a currency, it becomes a lot more. So this guy is living it up, getting paid in dollars. And he's getting paid all of this for a project that has been going on for 3 years. And the best he can do is the world's shittiest, most glitchy, janky ass, semi functional multiplayer that I guess kind of works in Anomaly for 3 fucking years, getting paid this goddamn much. Not only that, but remember, if you get a problem with your shitty, janky, rotten, seedless, bitch ass multiplayer mod, if at any point you get a crash or some kind of problem with your software and you go complain in the Discord, guess what? Tech support has to be purchased from Monokit. So you heard that right. If you get a problem with your mod, your shitty mod that is guaranteed to crash and break because it's barely functional and half of it is stolen code, if you have a problem with it, you better pay up. If you don't pay up to Monopidor, he just won't give you tech support. Fuck you. You stay with your crashed game. Like the audacity to be working on a project for 3 years, making this much money, and still requiring people, like having the cheek to ask money for tech support of the mod you're making. Like, imagine if that worked with other companies. Like, imagine if Stalker 2, when Stalker 2 crashed, and you complained to GSC, they just sent you like a payment order of $20. Oh, you want us to fix this crash? Pay me 20. It's ridiculous. And remember, this guy is always bleeding team members all the time. He has burned through 3 different programmers already because he doesn't pay them. And he doesn't pay his programmers while making this much money. Remember, his programmers are getting paid like 4,000 rubles a month. This guy is making $2,347,000 monthly, and he can't even pay his programmers. That's how greedy he is. He is shady, he is greedy, he's been working on the same project for 3 years, and he can barely deliver something even 1/10 the experience that you get from any other multiplayer mod while making this much bank. Seriously, after everything that I've seen from this guy, he is one of the shadiest and most greedy, low-down rats that I have ever seen in the kind of modding community of Stalker. He really is, he's a rat. So, frankly, if anyone, like, if at any point you have subscribed to his boosty, for the love of God, stop subscribing to his boosty, stop giving him money. You will never see this mod get fully released. He's got one programmer that still works with him. Everyone else has abandoned this guy because it doesn't pay people. He's making this much money. It's been 3 fucking years. He still hasn't delivered a good project. He still haven't given people a truly playable mod. He forces you to pay him for tech support. He just does not deserve. Like, there's so many other people in this community that really do deserve your support, your money out there. There's a lot of really fucking talented mod developers. This guy isn't one of them. And I didn't even get into some of the other stuff. Like, for example, his deep hatred and racism of Ukrainians, because I didn't want to get too much into that because it's a bit too topical, the war and whatever. I didn't want to get too much into that. But the fact that he hates them so much while making a mod for a game that's made by them is just, it's like, this guy's a fucking asshole. He really is. He's a rat. The only thing he's interested in is driving up his boosty numbers. That's it. Okay, he has no passion, no love, nothing. Because if he actually had passion, this shit wouldn't take 3 years. It would be done a lot faster, especially with this kind of fucking money. When you got $2,000 a month and you're paying people in rubles, bro, he would have like 20 programmers by now. Okay, and look at that yearly estimate of how much he makes. He would have a whole team of people working on this shit 24/7 if he wanted to get it done. But he doesn't want to get it done because he wants it to take it as long as possible so he can just milk it and milk it and milk it. I have zero doubt that one day, if he's no longer able to keep this shit going, he's just gonna rug pull everyone, take the money, delete his account, and run. He's that kind of fucking guy. Especially considering, his real life criminal record for money laundering, which I also not gonna get into that because I couldn't find too much proof of it, but it seems to be true. But I didn't want to really include it. Like, overall, this guy's a rat. Don't support him. You can use your money elsewhere. Okay, there's better uses for your money, and that's pretty much it. Like, I have shown everything here. Like, every single one of his programmers have abandoned him because they don't get paid. Like, I am fully convinced that he is running a scam. I think that he is the worst scammer that we have currently in the soccer community. He doesn't deserve the platform he has. He doesn't deserve the money he receives. He is a rat. So that's, again, I have shown my proof. I have shown the people that I found, the articles that I read. This guy has a rap sheet a mile long. This is just what I found. And I don't believe, and I don't think that he deserves a single cent of it. Well, anyway, that's it for this video. I'm gonna be finishing the 1935 Buildo video very soon. I'm also making a kind of a big project, a bit special. Also, I am almost done building the cooler setup for my PC, which means soon enough I will be live streaming soccer too. So keep that, mark your calendars. But that's pretty much it. This guy's a rat. Don't give him money, and matching out.